Two kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never-before-seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
What's poppin', what's poppin', what's poppin'? Welcome to Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, though?
Hey, this is about to be a fire show. Welcome all the live Facebook live people. Shout out to the YouTube viewers and everything. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Nicky and Moose's whole vibe. But, yo, I'm actually excited about this one, Moose. I'm actually excited. Just because that was like mainly all of my hip hop that I listened to at a certain point.
And I was going to say, I mean, I know you're not from there, but, you know, Virginia native, you know what I'm saying? Kind of, that might play a little favoritism.
I respect that he's from Virginia Beach. I do respect that. I can't say I got extremely excited because he's from Virginia, but because I don't claim it. I just live here. I just lay my sneakers here. But if you don't know who we're talking about, let me just show you.
Let's just get it right.
Yes, Pharrell Williams, Virginia Beach native, just an amazing producer, songwriter, entrepreneur. I mean, just everything, right? Just everything total. Moose, tell the stats. The people love your stats, so tell the stats.
Oh, for sure. You called it musician, producer, entrepreneur, 13-time Grammy Award winner, coming in with let me tell him the net worth though, coming in with $150 million net worth.
Bow, bow, bow.
Say that one more time.
Surprising, right? Yeah, right. Surprising. $150 million net worth.
Sheesh. Look.
Crazy thing is people don't realize how old he is. Like another one of those like Jamie Foxx comparisons in a sense. My man's been in the game for a minute.
Oh yeah, and doesn't look it at all.
One bit.
It's the craziest thing. Like a lot of people, I think majority of the interviews that I was watching, they were like, "Yo, okay, you don't age. Like we saw you 20 years ago. We put you side to side. You do not age. Tell us the secret." He's like, water? I don't know. Whatever.
That's something you would say. That's something you would say. Somebody asks you a question, it's like,
it is. I would say that. But I mean, let's think about it. Like, just hits after hits after hits. As far as a Queens kid, the first thing I could think of is the Nori song, right? You know you know which one I'm talking about, Moose?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The Nori song, of course. The Nelly Hot in Here got him a #1. You know, and so, but he broke out into a clothing line, partnerships, just an all-around entrepreneur. He did a music festival last year that was amazing. I heard. I didn't go, but because I think we were at an event or something. But it was amazing. Brought like Jay-Z, Timbaland, Diddy, all this stuff. But with all that, there was an interview and they asked him like, what are you? Like, what do you consider yourself? So that's what's going to be the first clip, and we're going to break it down.
Musician. Music has been the skeleton key to open every door for me. So as a musician, which that word comes from, you know, one who listens or is informed by the muses, which were angels, like we are interpreters.
real simple. I wanted to start it off simple like that just because you always have to understand the foundation. Like we always look at all these different artists, all these different entrepreneurs, and we see them for what they are now, right? And though I don't think anybody is really questioning Pharrell's music ability, right? It still stems from what he loves to do, which is music, which was produce, right? And then everything branches off after that. Moose, first off, what is your favorite Pharrell beat or song? Let's start there. And two, what do you think about truly understanding that foundation from the jump? Like, clearly my man is successful. You said his net worth, like, beyond successful, but still till this day, he's like, I make music. This is my thing, and it has opened up stuff. But what first, favorite Pharrell beat or song, and then the other one?
Favorite song, just because it took the world by storm and just what it represented. I'm a big fan of things that really push the humanitarian concept. So for me, Happy, I mean, you know, second to none. He's produced a lot of phenomenal music. I mean, the song that he did, you know, with Jay, a lot of stuff, but Happy just because of what it represented to the world. I thought that was phenomenal. But what I love about what he's doing here is he's not out to chase titles. Like you know, you really listen to how he's speaking. He's not trying to chase titles or accolades or other people's opinions. He's really trying to fulfill his own personal, you could call it his own personal prophecy or calling. He's really out to really discover what is it for me that I can continue to do. And my favorite quote from him as I was really studying and listening in, he says, I just look for what I want, and when it doesn't exist, I create it. And that was kind of what he used as a benchmark for his inspiration or how to navigate his next move. It's like, okay, oh, they don't have that? Okay, let me go ahead and create it and put my spin off on it. So it wasn't even looking for what somebody else did and let me do it better. You know, he wasn't trying to top a Timbaland or Swizz. You know, he was really looking to be his own unique sound. And I think he created a lane for himself where it became very apparent that, look, I'm not necessarily out here to compete with anyone. I just want to make sure I create stuff for people who wish it were here and it starts to exist for them.
Right. Yeah. No, for real. But you mentioned Tim, and I almost want to get into the collaboration talk already because I'm going to touch a little bit into it. Just because the respect that the people in Virginia have as far as the people who make music, I don't know about just in general, okay? But is so genuine. Like he was found, like they made Neptunes, right? Shout out to Chad. Him and Chad created Neptunes and did a talent show and was found by Teddy Riley, right? Later on met Tim. Later on met Pusha T and the Clips and everything like that. Missy Elliott, all this, Chris Brown, like they all come from Virginia and they're all like, yo, okay, what was the beat? I watched this interview. What was the beat that you wish, you're like, man, I wish I would have made it? And the respect that both of them have, Timbaland and Pharrell have for each other, and these are the top producers in hip hop, period, right? And the level of respect that they have for each other is crazy, but also understanding the thought process of Pharrell in the very beginning. Because one of the things that's big for me is the creative process, right? Music is so, like I said, it's like selling air, right? So it's intriguing to me to understand how these producers, songwriters create music. And one of the questions that was asked in the Breakfast Club that always bans us, so I'm not going to play all of their stuff. But one of the things was, hey, like, what inspires you to create music, right? If that's your foundation, what inspires you to do that? And he was like, situations, right? And the crazy part, when I heard that, I was like, yo, so many people would go to different people, different mentors, different videos, stuff like that. And he's like, I make music off of situations and things that are around me because I don't want to copy anybody. I'm trying to create my own lane and trying to make things different, make the sound different. So I can't necessarily listen to what's already out there because it's going to influence some of the stuff that I do. And instantly I connect with that because I'm like, man, if y'all don't get off social media and stop looking at everybody else's brand or in your case, everybody, how the business model is and everything like that, because if we're really trying to be different and we look at all these different people that we cover, and it almost seems as if they look up to the people but are not really getting super influenced by them when it comes to music. Now, when we went over Kobe and stuff, he was super influenced by Michael Jordan and all the other greats that he combined it. But when you're looking at these music artists and entertainers, they're like, yo, I have to separate myself because if I'm trying to be a leader, if I'm trying to be different and upfront, like I can't be the same. I can't even resemble some of the same or anything like that. So that was one of the things, the major things that I got from Pharrell, just from his music situations, like the inspiration, but then also the crossover. And I want to know if you can because you said Happy, and my favorite Pharrell joint is Grinding with Clips. Like that beat is fire. Disgusting. Yeah. Is super disgusting. So you pick crossover Pharrell, and I pick hip hop grinding Pharrell, right? And of course, then I would go with the Nori song. But at the same time, like he didn't box himself in. Same thing with the whole creative thing. He didn't box himself in. He was more of, if I feel like doing hip hop today, cool. If I feel like doing Britney Spears today, cool. If I feel like doing Daft Punk, like I'm going to just create however I feel like creating. And when he did that, he got the most success by not just pigeonhole the situation, not cornering himself to being only this hip hop producer, only this pop producer. He is everything. Like at some point, and I want you to tell the stat of the 2003 situation, but at some point, all we heard was Pharrell. Like everything we heard was Neptunes. Everything we heard was a Pharrell beat, right? And it didn't matter what genre or whatever. Like there was two separate charts. There was the British charts and the US charts.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, how? Like, and Moose, can you talk about the stats for that and what you think about it?
Yeah. So, I mean, just off rip, and they said in 2003, when they had compared just how much he was involved and how much he had really made an impact on the music industry, they found that he had produced about 43% of the music that was out in the U.S. So you think about
that's almost half, people. That's almost half.
That's exactly it.
I don't want to pass through that. Like 43% of what we heard from music, what was on the charts, was the Neptunes and Pharrell and situations like that. I don't want to pass that. I didn't just. My bad. I wanted to say that. Go ahead.
No, that's major though. But you think about, and we're going to talk about this here shortly, but just from a collaboration standpoint, but even strictly from a creation standpoint, the part to really break down here is his work ethic. If you think about the cycle of creating an album, right? That's something that usually takes people on average a year, if not more, depending on how relevant and consistent they are with their work. And here goes somebody who's able to produce nearly half the music that's out on the market, right? You have to have been so dedicated, so consumed to what you're doing that, you know, it comes from what he identifies himself as a musician, right? Like he really loves that process to engrave himself in that. But then the other part too is that creation for him was a process of learning, right? Like when he talks about working with others or taking down that path, that for him was how he explored this concept of learning, because he didn't go through traditional schooling. So like when you look at his upbringing, yes, he gets discovered at his high school talent show, but he doesn't carry on with a formal education. And they said that he didn't perform poorly in school, not for lack of interest, but he listened and just couldn't make a connection. Like he didn't feel that he was represented or that he belonged in what they were explaining. So I think for a big part of his creation process, it was really him learning, right? To look out and say, how can I learn something, right? How can I rediscover or learn something new? And that was what I think made it so interesting and allowed him to dominate the charts. You know, again, you talk about 43%. That's huge. You pretty much couldn't get around, or he wasn't. He was in every conversation when a new song or music was being produced at that time.
Big facts. And let me stay right there because you mentioned it. So what Moose was saying with the collaborations, tell me what you get out of this clip.
Look, it's not a collaboration if you're not learning anything. It's just, you know, when you're not learning anything, you're just kind of showing up, being who you are and thinking you know everything. But the best thing about a collaboration for me is the education. And I've learned so much about like my craft. I've learned so much about this craft, you know, the art of making a film, the art of keeping people captivated, the art of never having a distraction, just like a through line, this curated roller coaster ride. These guys are geniuses at.
Man.
That's major.
Look, that, and it's not, so, I don't know, there's like 17 different ways I can go with this, so I'm stuttering on my words already. But we look at collaborating and working with people as just more of an exposure kind of look, right? What's going to get me in front of the biggest audience? What's going to get me the extra exposure that I need? And Pharrell literally just crushed everybody with that and was like, yo, if I can't learn from you, like, there's no point in collaborating. And if you really look at the collaborations that he's done with greats, Jay-Z, Robin Thicke, Britney Spears, Nelly, you know, it's the list goes on, but it's just, he's learned something from each situation. And in that particular clip, he was talking about the whole Despicable Me, right? Yep. This when he was talking about Happy, right? And what he learned from the movie situation. And I think it also goes based off how he does his partnerships and deals as well. Like, if I can't necessarily learn, we can't get together and do this, right? So I'm looking at it like, for people who are collaborating with people, working together with people, are you learning something on a regular basis, right? I can be very transparent, and if I wasn't learning anything from Moose, I don't know if we would have a great friendship that we do. I'm just, not no stab, I just think he pushed me to buy Tesla, okay? I just want to put that out there. I'm just, that's still going to be, no, I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back, all right? Not the car, the stock. I just want, everybody's like, oh, you got a new car? No, I don't. I have no new car. But like, you want to get people who are going to push you and make you grow knowledge-wise, right? And Moose, wondering for you, are you strategic with who you collaborate with?
Honestly, I don't think I do enough collaboration. But what I have began doing a lot more of is not trusting the information or what I'm hearing, right? Like I think when you like just listening to him talk, he uses the word learning, right? Like he's educating himself in the process. And the only way to do that is to not just take what someone gives you and accept it as truth. Not if you are in the process of something creative or something that you are expecting to reproduce something out of the coming together or the partnership or the collaboration. So I have begun doing this myself, and I can imagine his process is relatively similar, or call it vice versa. Maybe I'm starting to do what he's doing, but you're processing everything before you accept it as truth. Right. So it's like you get with someone, they're giving you information, or they're giving you, and you're looking for their ways. And yes, you're learning from maybe their strengths or some of their limitations and how they're doing things better. But you're also processing it through your lens and saying, well, how do I view the world, and how does the information that I'm receiving impact how I should be moving differently? Right. How can I because you don't want to just take it and transfer the information. I think that's what makes something very, very plain, right? There's not much flavor to it. But as you put your creative endeavor on it, or your creative touch, it makes it a very unique concept. So through this concept of collaboration from him, what I notice is that he takes it and he does something to it. And then the second half of it, of course, is he is very open-minded when it comes to feedback. You know, he's extremely open-minded. He likes feedback. And so much so that he recognizes that once you create something and you put it out into the world, it's no longer yours in a sense, right? Like you have to be okay with letting it go. And I think that's part of what really holds a lot of people back, is that they are so concerned about how it will be received, where if you start to tell yourself, I'm no longer responsible for the reception or what people do with it, I know the intention, I will do everything in my power so that it can at least be seen. But other than that, there's not much I can do. So those are just some things that, from just watching his moves and to see how well it was received and how people responded to what he was doing, I was like, man, those are just a few things that I think many of us can benefit from a concept of learning, why we go about and approach collaboration, and then how we just even go about creating in general.
So there's one thing that stuck out to me when you were talking, which is the feedback situation, right? The willingness and want of taking feedback. Now, not everybody's like that, right? Not everybody is like that. So, what is your suggestion? Because I think that if people were more open to feedback and almost even more open to strategically collaborate with certain people and putting certain pride down and everything like that, like what is one thing that you could suggest to help that kind of those people that don't necessarily like feedback too much? Like, what is the balance with that?
Yeah, well, I'll take a page out of your book, and shout out to everybody who was with us on Rebuild last night. And what you said, it's you don't look for that feedback from everybody, right? There's a select few. You look at them or call them as your trusted advisors, right? That you give permission to give you that feedback, that you seek that feedback from them, not for a sense of approval, but just for a guidance of, hey, this is how I intended for this to be, or to go, or to be put out. Are you receiving it that way, or are there any adjustments or improvements that I can make so that I can meet the mark? So number one, I would say, if you're someone who's uncomfortable with feedback, rightfully so, and I get it, it doesn't always help or it doesn't always feel good, but start with just one trusted person, right? There's somebody out there who has some level of trust relationship with you that you can make that person the designated feedback guy, right? Like, you know, or gals, the person who's going to give you that feedback, knowing the intention behind it. And then the second part, I love this from Kobe. He said, when people give you feedback, it's not toward the person, it's toward the act. So You know, I just thought that was so brilliant when he said that, because he was like, when people take offense to feedback, and they were asking him his concept, he said, well, feedback, constructive criticism is never toward the person, it's toward the act, right? That which you're creating, that which you're pursuing, that which you're doing. So you have to remove yourself from that process and understand that it's not toward you as a person, that the feedback is not to say that, hey, you're a bad person, or you're not smart, you're not intelligent. It's just saying, again, there's a disconnect between what you intended and what's being delivered or communicated. Here are some things that I suggest you may want to fix so that you can make that match. So that's you know, one of those things that I would say definitely for those people who can get a little edgy when the feedback comes, that I would say, you know, take a page out of Kobe's book.
Facts. Now, that clip right there clearly was talking about the movie, and what came from the movie is Happy, right?
Yeah.
The huge success with the song Happy. And there's two clips that I want to play. Pharrell was just a humble guy. Is a humble guy, not was. Still is a very humble guy. And there's two clips in particular of how he stays humble for perfect, like, how do I put this? Timing wise, how he stayed humble, and like now that with all the success, does it get to his head, right? So here's the first clip.
You just have to accept it, like the universe has handed you this gift, you know, that's helped so many people. I wrote that thinking CeeLo was gonna do it, you know, but as the universe would have it, it was me. So I'm super grateful. You know, it's only when you think it's you with the juice is when you start getting caught up. And there are people who are the juice. Beyonce is the juice.
Beyonce is the juice. Hi, Beyonce. Hi. Gotta say hi to her. You know, she watches once in a while.
Right.
But
Shout out to Beyonce.
Right. Jay, what up? So so this is the thing, right? That clip right there was, this is how I took it, because some people get caught up and start complaining once they get a certain kind of success, once they get a certain position that they've been dying to get, once their inboxes are full and, you know, it's asking too many questions and all that great stuff and pointless emails supposedly. And how he answered that, right, was just very humbling. Like, yo, you know, I appreciate it. Like, this is what was called for me to do. Like, CeeLo was supposed to sing it, but it was me. And so, because earlier, for those who want to go back and watch that interview, like, Gail was like, yo, so are you over the song? Like, it's been a few years. Are you over? And he was like, yo, there was this kid that just randomly was like, happy, that's happy. Like, I don't have a name. I have happy, right? But at the same time, this is what I asked for. This is what God would gave me. And so can I complain about it, or can I just be grateful because this is what I have always dreamt of, right? And so it made me look at, you know, some of the positions that we may have, some of the situations that we're in, that all this time we're like, yo, if I had this amount of money, if I had this position, if I was just, you know, at this table, if I was just on this platform, and then we get there and then we're finding reasons to complain or finding reasons to act big-headed for no reason. Like, some people are big-headed over a few views, a few comments, a few follows, right? And, you know, they're acting as, oh, no, this is too much, the paparazzi, no. They're acting like you big, right? And so, but all in all, like, you have a $1 million guy who's like, I just appreciate life, and I love everybody, and I'm just me and you are just you and I appreciate you and I like yellow. Like that's how Pharrell is. And it's just like, it's crazy to see somebody with that success. Even for myself, you know, you got to check some things like, yo, okay, wait, hold on. All right, let me act a little bit nicer.
Can we talk about that though?
Go.
Can we talk about that though? Because I love that you bring that up, but I think it needs to be talked about because, you know, my standpoint on it is you can't complain about having too much on your plate when your goal was to eat. So
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You know, and that, but here's why I'm saying it though, because I find that you're one of the most responsive people, if that's even a word. Like you really are sending screenshots of like, yo, look here, which means that you are engaging, right? That you're really still responding to people. You're still taking people's feedback, right? Some of the adjustments or what they're sharing. Just talk about that. Like maybe why do you think it happens and how us as individuals can protect against that, regardless of what level you're at, right? Because I do think that what you're saying is a great example. Like, yo, for real, Pharrell, at his level, he still practices humility. And I think that's a phenomenal trait.
Yeah.
But let's talk about, for those who are listening, especially when you, not you as in you personally, but we often hear people talk about the importance of competitiveness. And you got to have kind of that edginess to almost play the role.
Yep.
But then we're also telling people like, hey, you also got to be humble. What's the balance? Like, why do you think it happens? What's the balance? And how can someone course correct if they're navigating those waters right now?
So there has to be a balance just because you still have to be personal, right? I think you have to be realistic with the level that you're on. Like we're not Bill Gates. We're not, we're not Pharrell. We're not Jay-Z. There's still certain levels that we haven't touched. Like for me, we're not on the pay grade because I'm not ever trying to be E, but we're not on the pay grade of E. We're not on the pay grade of C, We're not on, definitely nowhere near Beyonce just yet. Hi, Beyonce. Hi. Just know I'm not there yet. We're going to have a conversation one day. But, but understanding that no one's really beneath you. You could be competitive, but there's still a sense of you're still human. They're human. They're trying to get on different levels just like you are. That doesn't make them beneath you. That doesn't mean their information is whack or anything like that. It just means that they are trying to do the same thing you're doing, whether it's possibly getting in the same pay grade, possibly getting the same exposure, maybe even in the same industry, whatever it is. If you have a healthy kind of sense of competition, but still the respect, like it's sportsmanship, it's sports. Like competition is still a sport. So you still have to, after beating their behind, I almost said something else, beating their behind, right? you have to yo, that was a good game. Like that was fire, right? Because you never know when you're going to need a person again. Like I'm big on never burning bridges because you never know down the line when you're going to need somebody. And that has nothing to do with pay grade. That has nothing to do with status or anything like that. It's all about information and what could help you to get to the next level. And they may still have information you need. So I'm big on commenting on everything, trying to hit as many DMs as I can, text messages and everything like that, because especially for day one people, because you're going to need them. Right now, for majority of us, we're trying to build, right? If you act bougie now, day one people are going to remember that. And they're not going to stay loyal. And you have to try to build a loyal tribe, like we just talked about last week with Rihanna. You have to try to build that loyal tribe that they know that in the level that you're on, you're trying to connect with them as much as you can, right? You're not trying to be like, forget it. Don't take no pictures. I'm a kid. I'm all right. Nicky, can we take pictures? No, not today. Not today. Like that doesn't happen in real life. That doesn't, for people who act like that, people who are not commenting, people who are ignoring their stuff, you're not that deep. You're really not. And it's cool that you think it, and maybe it's cool that your mom thinks it, but the rest of the world thinks you're trash. But I'm the blunt one, and Moose is going to.
Look, I'm gonna save y'all because I think you was about to get a little pow right there. Nicky said you're trash.
You're trash. No, because I mean, like, yo, there's no reason to take so long. Yeah, we all live busy lives. Okay, cool. If there's certain people, and shout out to E, because as big as what level that he's on, he takes every single picture. He signs every single book. He tries to talk to you. We protect him. If he's not talking to you, it's because of us. It's not because of him, right?
Legit.
He would hug now if he could. And we're like, no, you can't really get corona right now. Can we chill out? Can you go back home?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Good idea.
Right. Yeah. So, like, if you see people like that, who millionaire, doesn't need to work at all anymore, still has a work ethic as if he just started, coming up with 17 million ideas, talking to everybody, whether you are 5 years old or 65, whether you have $1 to your name or you have millions of dollars, he is still on a, hey, how are you? He introduced himself. Hey, I'm Eric Thomas. Yo, man, I know you. I know. He'll call us like, hey, E.T., my guy. We talk every day.
I got your number saved.
No, it's seriously, like, I get it. Like, it's you. But, it always goes based off who you're surrounded by. Like, we're surrounded by E. We're surrounded by people like Inky, another humble spirit, right? We're surrounded by Willie Moore Jr., everything like that, who are at a certain level that is above us and are still like, Nicky, you could call me anytime. Moose, you could call me anytime. I'm being here. I'm going to be on Nicky and Moose, all that great stuff. So to see other people who are nowhere near that level and like doing the Heisman on certain people, it's crazy to me. Like, to hear what Pharrell says about that and just truly being humble, still in his little bubble and everything like that, but being humble and being so much for the people, like, everybody could go sit down. Everybody. I'm just saying.
That's good. That's so good. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's so good because, I think everyone can kind of check themselves a little bit with that point. Like, regardless of what you think you are, it's like, man, everybody can do better from a human standpoint. And I think what I like to always think of is like, yo, just remember the cycle of life. Remember the cycle of life, right? Where everyone starts is not where they end up, and that goes for good or bad. And you just never know when your turn may come, right? It's like history shows that.
Thanks.
What's that famous quote? It says, what did Jay say? Pride comes before the fall, almost certainly, or something like that, right? It's like that concept of arrogance and pride that comes before every great leader falls. And it's like, oh, wow, that's one of those traits, that you want to protect from. But yeah, no, very well said, Nicky. Shout out to you. That was, when you talk about in the bag, yeah, you was in there.
I'm sorry if I hurt somebody's feelings. But let's get to the next clip, because I like this one too.
I mean, a lot of people will be like, yo, I did this, I did that. Let me explain something to you. No matter how hot it is, it requires people to be into it. They got to buy it. They got to stream it. They got to tell their friends about it. Mm-hmm. You can't pay for that. So I don't take any of that for granted. For me, as far as I'm concerned, I'm here based on doors that were open for me, based on artists that worked with me, inspired me, based on fans that continued to lift me up, and you know, the universe, God. Like,
Tag your
another one. Well, let me tell the journey of, you know, the song and what he's talking about, right? Because I think that's definitely one of the things that stands out, and a lot of people really know Pharrell for this one concept, unless you're a true fan to understand a lot of his different endeavors. Like, he's very well versatile, right? He's in technology, he's in movements that promote going green around the earth and around the universe, just to protect the universe, or I should say. As a matter of fact, one of his partnerships or his business endeavors came about with G-Star when he put out a line of jeans that were made from recyclable material that was found in the ocean. So like, that's one of the things that attracted G-Star. I'm a big fan of G-Star. I don't know if you like G-Star, but definitely one of the things that attracted their company to be like, hey, we want you in as a partner. So he got ownership just through that concept, right? Through living his truth. But when you think about the concept or the story of Despicable Me, so he does the first movie, it goes great. Then they bring him back for the second movie with Despicable Me. And now the main character, who's always mad, always angry, is going on this, you know, this new journey, right? Where he is angry, but he's now needs to be happy. It's like this weird kind of twist in the narrative, right? So they're telling him that we want this song to show that, to showcase that the person who's always mad is now becoming happy, right? And we want to represent that. We want it to be soulful. We want it to be all these different elements. So he starts to write the song. He starts the journey of writing what we now know as Happy, right? The theme song for Despicable Me.
Yep.
But he writes the song and he puts out 9 different songs. And every time he writes a song, he takes it to the producer and they're like, nope, that's not it. Open the feedback, writes a song, goes back, nope, that's not it. Now he's like, a couple of them were actually really good songs. Like, it's not like they were bad songs, but the feedback that he kept getting was, no, that's not it. So finally he comes on the 10th try. This is big for some of y'all. Y'all really need to listen. The 10th try, right? Not the first, not the second. He didn't knock it out the park on the third one or the second one. Not even the 8th one, right. The 10th one. And I'm just saying, how many revisions have you done? Right? Have you done 10 to be like, yeah, I don't know, this is not for me. All right. So here goes Pharrell after all of this fame and success. Mind you, he's had that success. We talked about 43% in 2003. This is 2013 that we're talking about. So even 10 years after much of that success. And he finally comes up with Happy, and he says his process was, he created the song. Him and his wife rode around the city for like an hour listening to it. And they were like, man, I think this song is going to be really dope. So they send it to the producer, and it was a Friday. He said, look, don't even give me feedback yet. I just want you to take it, listen to it twice in a row. And on Monday, if you call me back Monday, I know it's a go. If you don't like it, don't call me back. All right. So like, that was his process for it. Monday comes around, he got the call, and they said, not only is this is the one, we actually love it. Dope, right? So it gets accepted, it goes on the movie, and it does this thing. The movie gets released July 4th. So they're trying to now pitch it to radio, right? Because they want the song to go to radio. And the way it was being communicated, it was like, you know, they're trying to communicate this antagonist character becomes happy and it's a soulful song. And the radio wasn't really biting on it. Like, nah, we don't really see it. 4 months later, in November, they decide, because of something within the budget, to do a video for the song. And it was at that moment when they can visually represent what it meant to the radios that they took it. And within no time, the song went worldwide, triple platinum, close to 1 billion streams. And of course, you know, the movement that came from about it. So I wanted to share that just from a journey standpoint of what can happen. But I also really want you to touch on the branding concept. When you have such a dope idea already working in one segment, how sometimes you need to maybe change the element. Like for them, it was simple. They just had to shoot a video for it.
Right.
Right. And that concept finally got them on radio. Just talk about that, you know, your thoughts on that, you know, just how you, when you think of that process, man, it's like, what goes through your mind when you think about something like that?
So, like, I think when it comes to the trying and trying and trying, my thought process with that is more of this is a movie, right? If this was hip hop, if this was a regular album, he knows the formula. But he was humble enough to understand that this is a whole new level. This needs a whole new emotion. This is a whole new audience. I have to trigger people a different way. So I have to go back to the drawing board several times, right? I can't just look at my accolades and be like, I'm Pharrell. Do you know how many? I've worked with Britney Spears. I've worked with Robin Thicke. I've worked with all these people. Do you not know who I am? He was like, he acted as if he was brand new, and over and over and over and over again till then it got accepted, and not really quitting. And I look at that because there's so many people that are just like, all right, I tried 3 times. This ain't it. You know, I've tried this many weeks. This ain't it. You know, and you have to really look at the level that you're trying to be on. Have you ever been on that level before? So how do you know what it takes if you've never been there before? You're going to have to try multiple times until you get it. You have to go back to the drawing board. You have to do the research. You have to study to get to that particular level. You've never been on it before. So how do you know how long it's supposed to take? Who are you to determine that? Because now you're going in a whole new industry. Now you're going into a whole new level. Now you're going to a whole new tax bracket. And you're sitting here saying, I've done this much. It's not working. I can't do it. It's not worth it. But somebody's there. So it worked for somebody. Are you so focused on what you've already created that you can't let go to get to the next level? Or have you humbled yourself and continue to try over and over and over again? And so when I look at Pharrell, I'm like, yo, it doesn't matter. He continues to recreate himself so he can get to the new levels. He's never done a song like that. So he had to try it over and over again. He's never done a music festival. So he had a lot of going back to the drawing board with that, with certain vendors and certain situations, weather, all that great stuff, coronavirus. Like he is not above any level, and he will continuously try over and over again where others would be like, I'm going to stay right here because I clearly cannot make it to the next level, or they don't see my worth. No, it's not that they don't see your worth. You haven't humbled yourself enough for them to even see you, because you already think that you are above them or you deserve to be there when you haven't even put in the true work, and you don't even know the fundamentals because you never even studied based off what you've done before. But that's a whole other topic. I'm just, you know.
You came, yeah. You what'd you have for breakfast today?
I had a breakfast burrito. I had eggs. I eat eggs every morning.
Oh my.
But I mean, it's true, because to see the success that Pharrell's had, like even the creative side of it, like for those who've seen Happy, there's like a short version and then there's a 24-hour joint. There was one on each hour where he started out, but then there's other people around the world who created a music video that if you was to go on YouTube, you would see each hour, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., all that great stuff, right? And it took his creative process above him, because majority of hip hop or music artists, period, they have to do the music video, right? They allowed other people to create how happy they were. They showed what happiness was around the world, storytelling to a whole new level. So it not only made it to the movies, but it was a movie within itself and created a whole movement around the world. Now that's new levels. He could have been like, I'm good. Like, fifth time, I'm good, whatever, right? But because he continued over and over again, he had world impact, not United States impact, not UK impact, the whole world, because he didn't stop at 5. He didn't stop at 9. Like, he kept going. So for those people who are just frustrated and who've tried over and over again, are you just trying to get local impact, or are you trying to get world impact? Because if you're trying to get world impact, you may have to do it 10 times. You may have to do it 20 times. You may have to do it for 10 years, and then finally one video finally did great. So we'll take it because I'm going to go. I'm going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. You on it today, Nikki. You definitely hitting the nail on the head, and I think it's resonating with a lot of people. Just because it's always the easiest concepts that are most difficult to communicate. Like, it's like you think about, oh, we just gotta show a video of people being happy.
Right.
It's like it sounds so easy, but from a creative standpoint, it's so difficult. But you're absolutely right. It's like when you get to a new level, regardless of how much success you've had in the past, if I can summarize it this way, if you haven't played on that level, your success doesn't qualify you here, right? Or it doesn't give you the pass here. It opens the door, right? But you still have to carry the heavy lifting or do the heavy lifting to play on this level, which I think it's brilliant, because you're right. It's made worldwide impact, and to see himself continue to carry out with that humility is really dope, really dope.
Dang. Now, let's get into the business side of things, right? My man's a whole entrepreneur out here, a whole one.
Okay.
To the point where he did a whole song about it, which we'll get a little bit into, right? But there is one thing that when I think of Pharrell that instantly is fashion. Instantly. My man is pimped out. I'm not even gonna lie. He has the greatest, with the hats and everything. Like, my man knows how to dress. In the beginning, right? Actually, the first thing that came into my head when it came about Pharrell was Bape, right? And his collaboration with that. But he created BBC, Billionaire's Boy Club, right? And Ice Cream. And there's a clip of really niching down in such a oversaturated market. So here we go.
Yeah. I can't talk about the differences. I can only tell you that, we're all about individuality, and, BBC and Ice Cream are brands that just welcome you if you just want to find a sense of identity, if it works for you. It's not for everybody. It's a small community of us who just want to, it's all about self-expression.
Because you look at Rockaware and G-Unit and Fat Farm and stuff like that. It's a thing that's just being done because rappers are able to do it for the people that like hip-hop music. But this isn't just really marketed to rappers. This is just like, it has a more versatile appeal to people.
So, this is going to go touching on really narrowing down your audience, right? So with Pharrell having such success with being a producer and his stamp early with hip hop, during that time, like DMC said, you had Rockaware, G-Unit, Fat Farm, all this great stuff, right? And like how we talked about with Jay, it only makes sense to hit fashion, because if you're trying to create an empire, you conquer everything that's within that lifestyle. So fashion is part of music, but he took it in a different route of speaking to only a certain amount of people, not necessarily all of hip hop. Now, if hip hop took it, cool, but it was more of an elite kind of skateboard kind of vibe that isn't super popular in hip hop at the time. Now, when Lil Wayne started skateboarding, everybody wanted to start skateboarding. It was weird. But the Pharrell fashion, the way he did things, even with the sneakers with Bape and all that great stuff, was just a different audience of hip hop than the regular smegular. So, Moose, I know it was at, I think 2005 was BBC. You have the stats. I don't know. All I know is that they were making 25 million. The only stat I do know is they were making 25 million a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Off of being really specific with who they talk to, right? They said it right there. It's not for everybody. If you like this kind of style, cool. And there's a lot of brands that are trying to talk to everybody, trying to talk to the whole industry, when the money is really in when you could talk to a specific audience, when you could talk to a specific crowd and make them feel special or make them feel as if they are a certain status. They called it Billionaire Boys Club, and then they came up with a Billionaires Girls Club, right? Mm-hmm. Already making you feel like a certain kind of status. If I get this, I'm part of this club, right? But some brands are trying to talk to everybody, and it's not necessarily making anybody feel special. You're not talking to anybody's specific pain points. You're not trying to get them to a new level. You're not trying to fill any of their desires. You're just trying to make a bag, and there's nothing wrong with it. But how big are you trying to get the bag? Or are you just trying to go by to be a regular brand that doesn't stand out, that's just paying the bills and everything like that? Because that's going to hit a ceiling. When you could talk to a specific crowd, like Nicky and Moose show is not for everybody, okay? It's for a specific crowd. And because we're catering to a specific crowd, we could direct certain people to this situation, to that situation. If we're saying, hey, we're going to do an event, there are people who will come join us because we're specifically talking to their needs, right? Who are you speaking to, and what specific needs, what specific desires are you fulfilling for them? And so with that, just a clothing line, and people may think that's so simple or, super materialistic, but there was a clip earlier on that particular interview where there was a guy who were BBC'd out. He had a book bag, he had a jacket, he had a hat, he had a shirt, he had a hoodie, he had a jacket over the jacket. He had the pants, socks. I think they had underwear. He was like, look, this is my favorite brand, and it's what they represent. It's how they make me feel is why I buy it. It's not because it's trending. It's not because of who it's from. It's how they make me feel and how they specifically talk to me and not everybody else, right? So when you're building your brand and business and all that great stuff, like, you really need to pay attention to who you speak to and stop trying to talk to millions of people, because if millions of people came to your door, would you know what to do with them anyways? Would you know how to talk to their specific pain points and problems? I feel like I'm in my bag. Let me go. Go ahead,
hey, I'm enjoying the ride today. You killing them today. I'm just out here like, hey, do I need to catch a rebound? Do you need some water? You need some?
But Moose, talk to them about just Pharrell's like entire like ventures, like everything from the jeans to the BBC. Bape, all that great stuff. Like, you have the stats.
Yeah, no, he's definitely multifaceted, and again, not someone who speaks on it, in a very loud way. But people forget that he was one of the person who designed things for Louis Vuitton before Kanye, and even what's the guy's name? Gosh, I always forget his name. What's his name? Starts with a V.
Virgil?
Was it Virgil?
Virgil.
Right. So before they came along, he was already designing stuff for him. And of course, we know the things that the clothing and the shoes that he's designing for Adidas right now. So he's always used these elements of design, similar to when we talk about collaboration. That's how he explores his learning. Like he's very big on that concept. Although he doesn't have a formal education, the way he does what he does is what allows him to learn. So for him, the motive behind these moves is not so much, oh, let me be a successful entrepreneur or let me do this. It's just like, hey, I have an interest in this. I'm inspired by this, or I want to learn about this. And that usually trigger and dictate his moves as how he navigates all throughout. But I just want to go back to touch on something that you talked about, to speak specifically to one person. I think it really helps sometimes when we begin to, even before we start as a business or as a brand, as an entrepreneur, whichever you're designing, really make a list of who you're not for and be okay with that. Like sometimes you really just need to tell yourself ahead of time, hey, these people are probably not going to like me. And I'm just going to predict ahead of time that when they come for me or to me with some level of feedback or resistance, I'm not going to reroute what I intend to do because I'm not for them. And that's okay. So along with identifying who you are for, just make a list, keep a little piece on there, for the people who you are not for as well. Right. So I think it's important to touch on both elements because it's a great way to keep balance and perspective as you navigate through.
But look, let's talk about the real topic. This song that came out, okay? This song, Entrepreneur, Pharrell and Jay-Z. Just wanted to touch a little bit about it from a business standpoint, from a branding standpoint, from a creative standpoint, because of course, everybody knows why I loved it, because he'd spend a moment of silence for Nipsey, clearly. So I had to love on this video a little bit, but I think timing, can we talk about this? Like timing wise, like the visuals, everything like that. Moose, what's your thoughts about, because you heard the song first, I think, right?
Yeah.
Before the video?
Yeah. We watched the video together when you played it on our meeting, but I love the concept of the song because I'm just thinking about, oh, this is a cool way where it's not the rah, let me motivate you about entrepreneurship. It's let me take you through just a mellow vibe about how we can talk about this concept of ownership and what's happening. So I really love what he was doing. But then when I watched the video with you, I'm like, whoa, the messaging is really, really dope because now they're going on to highlight specifically females, right? Female, Black or minority owned businesses, and he's highlighting their journeys about what they've done. So yeah, they're showcasing this concept of entrepreneurship, and it's not necessarily the easiest route, but they are showing you a lot of examples of people who are successful, who have made it, so that you have a reference point to look to at many different levels of the what is it, totem pole, however you want to call it. There's a lot of different sectors, so you don't have to be at a celebrity status to navigate a well-oiled machine or a good functioning business. But I love how he was introducing a lot of these different concepts. So I do know from listening to his interviews that he is someone who is a big advocate for females. But I think also now learning that and seeing the video, it makes sense why he's done that. And, again, he's highlighted people at every level, which was really cool.
Well, first off, he didn't just highlight females. They did both.
No, it wasn't just females, but I'm saying.
But he did a good,
but he definitely
talked about them. I think he even dedicated a certain part to it. Of course, the Issa Rae section of it, that was a whole fire thing. But I think overall, because I didn't hear the song first. For some reason, something told me to watch the video first before listening to the song. And praise God I did, because it's a very repetitive song. And I probably would have been like, it's whack. even though great message, woo woo, the video for me brought it to life. Because the video, not only timing wise with everything that's going on, right? But highlighting different entrepreneurs that are actually doing something during COVID. Like, it's not just highlighting them only just because, but it was, look, these are people who are actually making a killing during COVID, who actually created businesses, who reopened their business, who's doing it big during these times. It's possible. Let me show you all the people, instead of telling you or even saying what we've done. Let us show you common folk. Let us show you people who you do know, i.e., what's my man? Tyler, the Creator, Issa Rae, Nipsey. Let us show you that, but let us show you some of the regular smegulars who are actually killing it in the game, right? And I think it was perfect timing, perfect messaging, perfect storyline that is really impactful, that people would go over and watch over and over again, and as well as a very creative and strategic way of bringing extra business to these entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Because shout out to Revolt, they did a whole article about all the different businesses that was listed. So you have things, of course, Marathon Clothing. I'm going to name that first. Neighbors Skate Shop, Run 100. What else? Who we got? Per Home, My 2 Cents, Bia Blooms, Tribe Midwives. It just so many. Black and Mobile. So not only does it showcase what's happening in the world, who are really killing it, but giving a platform to people and earning extra money. And I think what's great about what Pharrell does, even with like the music festival with Something in the Water, right? Giving a platform for locals as well as people who are already doing it is really the true circle, the true like life cycle of music. When you can grind so much to get to a certain status and then create a platform for others, that's unbelievable, right? There's things of like giving back and everything, but I'm big on creating platforms for people who need it more. Like, you wish you had a platform, so now you have that possible responsibility to create it for others. And that's what I think Pharrell and Jay-Z did for these particular Black entrepreneurs. They gave them extra business because now everybody's talking about that video. Now everybody's looking them up. They've probably gotten extra revenue just off that. So that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, no, that's dope. And one of the things I wanted to add, because I know somebody might be listening like, wait, but that's a contradiction, because you're talking about how organic he is with his creative process, but now you could tell that this is a very strategic concept, or it's very well timed. Mm-hmm. But one of the pieces that he always adds to his creative process, and he talks about even when he brings in other artists into the studio to help them produce or produce with them another song, he talks about this concept of feeling. Mm-hmm. Right. So just as it is important to, yes, have those elements checked off, he personally is big on relying on his emotion and making sure that he can feel that there's a stream of consciousness that's going towards the idea and less about it being forced. And I think that's what's guiding his method. So again, just wanted to add that in there.
I'm with that. I have a topic, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till we do our, because, I messed up. First off, I messed up and Moose didn't tell me I messed up, but that's cool, right? We didn't
putting up,
the flight assessment.
I know, but you was just putting up dimes. So I was like, well, let me wait, and then we'll just
I know.
We'll touch on it at the end.
I know. Okay, so for all those who don't know what we're talking about, right? We have to figure out what Pharrell is, right? And we go based off the flight assessment. There's different characters: pilot, flight attendant, grounds crew, and air traffic controller. Moose, in a minute and 30, can you describe to the people while they start voting, for those who do know what these are? Yeah. Can you let the people know what each one is?
Absolutely, yeah. So based off of the 4 dominant personality traits that we know exist in the world, the first being the pilot. This is the person who, of course, is flying the plane. They're determined. They love challenges. They're self-motivated, and they do what they do best. They get something from where it is to its final destination. That's all they focus on. Next, you have the flight attendant. Of course, just in their demeanor, very relational, smiling, happy. Right? They want to make sure you had a good experience. So these are the people who we call life of the party. Right? Influential. They use their creative ideas to build relationships with people. Then you have the grounds crew members. When you look out the window, if you're sitting in a window seat, you look out the window of the plane, and you'll notice that there are people in orange and sometimes green vest, right, doing a whole bunch of things. They're the glue that keeps the operation together. So they have a lot of different roles and responsibilities, but they really help to keep everything functioning as one. And then lastly, before the plane takes off, you don't necessarily hear or see these guys, but you hear of them, right? The pilot is telling you, hey, air traffic control says we're next in line. Air traffic control says we can't go off yet, right? So these are the people who are usually in a tower somewhere working with a lot of the small details, right? They're very analytical. They like to think things through. They like to work with small details to make things come together. So there you have it. Those are all 4 of the styles.
All right, now we got to figure out what Pharrell is. I'll go first.
Good. Yeah.
I'm going to say flight attendant. I'm not going to get rid of the ground crew first. Shout out to the grounds crew. I love you, even though I normally get you out of here. Do you agree, disagree?
I agree. I don't know if I would have said that was first, but I agree because I would have eventually taken it off, but not first.
Well,
yeah, I'll go though. I'll go real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, pilot gotta go for sure.
Wait. You even do the pilot? Oh my goodness. Yeah. I agree anyway, so I don't even know why I'm acting. Like, no.
For the show.
Right. Oh my God, no. Why would you do that?
Right.
All right. So, this is
what the people saying.
So the people said, hold on, flight attendant ATC, grounds crew with some ATC. Some say grounds crew. I'm going to say, if I had to pick one, I'm gonna say grounds crew. I'm gonna say grounds crew. He's too much about the people. He's too humble. He's just like, the collaboration kind of vibes. I just want to learn. I just want to do this. I love you. This is great. Like, no aggressiveness I felt. I didn't really get I'm doing this particularly for this reason and that. He's a super creator, right? So instantly, with the experience that I have with creators, they're grounds crew, right? And so they just love to be in the space where they could do whatever. And I feel that he is a grounds crew. But what do you say?
I 100% agree. And I'm so happy we did this episode because we have yet another powerful example or frame of reference to other grounds crews out there to show like, hey, you can be authentically you, right? Wanting no trouble, happy about the people, collaboration, practicing humility and empathy. And he talks about all these powerful traits that we know grounds crews naturally possess. And while others sometimes may talk about, oh, but those can't be leaders or yada, yada, yada. Well, you do have a chance to, you know, accumulate $150 million in net worth just by operating in your superpower. Like that's got to stand for something. So that's why I love when we do this, right? It's like everything else is kind of the icing on the cake, but I love this piece because it gives people a great frame of reference. Like, oh, I'm a ground school. Let me go study some of the ins and outs of, you know, what this person has done and see how closely it resonates with what I'm up to, what I can learn, what I can use for it. So shout out to ground schools on that.
And if you kind of resonated with Pharrell with some of his feelings and everything, but you haven't taken the flight assessment, go to flightassessment.com, figure it out, get that one-on-one, get you a coach. It's a whole vibe. It's a whole vibe. But we're going a little bit into overtime, so if you got to go, I get it. But I do have a random topic that I wanted to go over. It's not really a debate. However, so this song dropped. When did it drop? Friday, right? Last Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it had Jay-Z on it, right? Was it a coincidence that Nas dropped a whole album and then Jay-Z dropped this song? Can we have this conversation real quick? Just real quick.
Do you think it's still alive? Is that what you're indicating?
So I have some stats, and people who know what I'm talking about, let me give a quick backstory, right? There is this conspiracy theory that every single time the rapper Nas, shout out to Queens, drops something, here comes Jay dropping whatever. Because, yeah, this song was message-wise was great. Nas put out a very fire album. A very fire album that should have stayed alone. Nicky's being messy. I'm not being messy. I got stats. See, I did not tell Moose this because I wanted to come with some stats today because this is interesting. So Friday, like I said, Nas dropped something, right? Jay dropped something. Okay. Last time Nas dropped that horrible Kanye album, Jay and Beyonce dropped something. July 2019, right? Lost Tapes came out, right? Jay dropped something. So I'm like, everything is love. Okay, so when Nasir came out, the horrible Kanye one, Everything is Love came out. June 15 was Nasir. Everything is Love is June 16. Nas' greatest hits. Let's go back all the way to 2007. American Gangster, November 6, 2007.
Wait, when was
Nas' greatest hits? November 6, 2007. American Gangster, November 6, 2007. Stillmatic. 2001, December 18th. Unplugged, December 18th, 2001. Streets Disciples.
This has been happening for a minute.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Wow.
I got stats, okay? So I'm wondering, because I felt like this didn't need to come out. It's a great message, all that great stuff, cool. But it didn't need to come out. Like, Nas really could have just had a great release. Can somebody, Moose, are you not agreeing with this?
I mean, the fact that it stretches back 20 years, it gives you something to really think on. Like, wait a minute, 20 years? And But also, here's my question, though, because I got to have a question.
Okay.
is there something that would allow or indicate to an artist that somebody else is dropping? Like, do artists know who's dropping ahead of time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knew Nas was dropping. Everybody knew that. Nas knew. Yep. That was out because Ultra Black, the single, came out. Right. Hit Boy did the whole production. It was very announced. And then here you come, Jay-Z, bringing out the Entrepreneur.
And I could see Jay calling Pharrell like, "Hey, that song, yeah, we're gonna do an early release." And Pharrell's like, "Man, hey, no problem, bro. We gonna make it happen." That's crazy that you say that though. Seriously.
I just want to know. I just want to know what your thoughts on that was. I just want to know.
Yeah, I can see it though. I could see it. I could see Jay being very strategic on the back end. Like, I'm not gonna give anyone an opportunity to kind of even take their search far enough to see, what happened with Ether or any of that. So I'm gonna make sure I respond every single time with something. But yeah, there's it happened too many times to call it a coincidence though. Like, that's not even. Yeah.
I'm just saying. It's a random topic.
It's crazy that you pulled that up though. That's I see you with the.
It's okay. Moves. You did it once on me. I waited. Just a random conversation. That's all. This is a random conversation.